normally when we greet from where we're coming from, though we are mixed with business today, we'll continue to say, Amandla, where to? I can't do capital, I can't dwell. But thank you very much, Capital, to make sure that this event is a success. And so we'll call upon our Deputy General Secretary of this movement, Comrade Thabo Mkhalane, to do the honors. Thank you very much.
Good evening. National Office Bearers, chairpersons and secretaries of our provinces, comrades and friends. It is indeed a great honor and pleasure to welcome you to this gala dinner of Communication Workers Union, to mark the 20th anniversary of its existence. You are most welcome, and we believe that you will enjoy the rest of the program. And we thank you for sharing this special event with us. We would like to extend a special welcome to the National Office Bearers of COSATU, led by the President of COSATU, Comrade Mothambi. We would like to extend a special welcome to former National Office Bearers of Communication Workers Union. And we believe that they are still disciplined, and they are led by the first President of Communication Workers Union, Comrade Hlaudi. We extend a special welcome to companies that we are organized in. We are joined by a delegation from the South African Post Office. We are joined by the SABC, and we would like to extend a special welcome to the COO of the SABC, Mr. Hlaudi Motsoeneng. I earlier on greeted him, and I said to him, this is the man who has been in the news recently. We don't know for good or for wrong reasons, but he has been in the news, and we appreciate his presence here. We extend a special welcome to Makopo Kunene. This is a company that we are working with. We extend a special welcome to, I normally refer to him as Dion. He's coming from one of the companies that normally assist us. And we extend a special welcome to all the other companies that have been of assistance to Communication Workers Union thus far. We hope that you will enjoy whatever will be happening this evening. And we really thank you for sharing this special occasion of Communication Workers Union with us. Thank you very much.
Okokowe
Thank you very much. Is it fine? Thank you very much. I think a person that should be nervous, it's me. But seeming like the DJs and technical staff, very nervous. But we forgive them. As you can realize that we don't want to have a very formal occasion, though you address formal, thank you very much. We wanted all of us to relax because this is the 20th anniversary of Communication Workers Union, a giant movement in the ICT industry. The employers here knows that very well. I'm looking at them. I'm sure they are shocked now that we are dressed so well, we're talking so nice. Now, we'll request to everyone, I think it's important that we say this because in here, we also have those who call them our propagandist machineries. They are sitting somewhere there at the back, those are journalists, so that we mobilize properly so that when we attack you as employers, they write quickly about you, how bad you are. I'm sure you welcome that. For now, we'll request everyone to rise because we're going to play a clip of Nkosi Sikelel' Africa. So we'll request so that we can start our event tonight. Thank you. Amandla. Very interesting. We said Nkosi Sikelel, not the national anthem. It was a union capture. I saw comrades started very vibrant. As the song goes on and on, I see hands going down, left comes up, others touching here, others putting, but the song was keep on playing. So I think when we say Nkosi Sikelel Africa, we precisely mean that song. Now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the first president of Communication Workers Union to grace us here and give us a message of support and also give us a little bit of a background. Comrade Talifang Sekano, can we just rise and brush our hands for him?
I nearly said the leadership of Alliance, but I didn't hear anyone saying that now the Alliance is here. I'm not sure whether it was a mistake, that they were forgotten or not, but we noted that during our time, Comrade President, during our time we would not leave them behind. Okay, if they are here, then it's fine. It means that now the organization that I left is still intact. Viva CWU, viva! Viva CWU, viva! Viva COSATU, viva! Viva COSATU, viva! Viva the African National Congress, viva! Viva the African National Congress, viva! Viva the South African Communist Party, viva! Viva SAMCO, viva! You see, the reason why I would have to say all this is that now the measure, the formation of CWU was not just an event. It started very far backward. You know, long before even some of you here were born. I'm being honest. You know, I'll speak of Comrade Samson Ndo, you know, who was with GAU. He played a major role to see to the formation of Podwa, which was a predecessor of CWU. He was the first person to give us offices, you know, so that now at least we could do something about that. He was one of the first people to call on Rabbi Gobend, who was the president of CWU, which was an association for the Indians at the time. And he was the first person, again, to say that now, where are these colored organizations so that now we could meet with them? And that was way back in 1985. Before that, he had organized one comrade, the late comrade Vusi Khumalo, who was the first president of Podwa, together with comrade Elias Musunkutu, whom all of you would know. He was the MEC of transport and all that, closing the ranks and everything. But he became the president of Podwa too. And Comrade Bob Mabaso. I would have done an injustice if I don't mention those comrades. More especially, you know, that they played a major role. Comrade Bob would say, even in our NEC at that time in Porto, that now, when we speak, we say that, make sure that now you mention one, the measure of all these unions. Comrade GS, I'm not sure if the time that you have allocated to me is enough, because when I start, I don't stop. Comrades who were there during my era would, would say so too. But I needed to say that. That was that generation of the comrades. But then again, you know, I've mentioned Comrade Rabi Gobent. There was Comrade Johnny Riches, you know, from Piazza. You know, there was Comrade Godfrey Wright, you know, who were there. Now, these were the comrades who at a certain time when we realized that now this measure was not taking place, we had to push them and took them to Lusaka, where we met SABC together with them. And the comrades were complaining that now, you know, comrades, we get to Lusaka, you telephone, collect our passports, and then we don't see our passports for the next 3 days. And then we get to get them again when we get off here at Johannesburg Airport. There's your passport. But we had to make sure that now when we are in Lusaka, they don't get to disappear. Now, I'm trying to push this thing to say that now, you know, SABC, the predecessor to COSATU, played a major role in making sure that now this measure does take place. Not only politically, but they even financed that, you know, and educational-wise. And I would be making a mistake if I don't mention Comrade Shope, you know, who used to be the real educator within SABC. I would be making a real mistake if I don't talk about Comrade John Nkadime, who was the General Secretary of SABC. I would be making a real mistake if I don't talk about Comrade Stephen Dlamini. You know, now those were the comrades who at the time made sure that now we, as Potwa, together with the other comrades, you know, we come together. But this measure was refusing to come. You know, some of the comrades are late. But we kept on moving on, saying that now this measure needs to take place. You know, people have laid their lives on. You know, some of the comrades would realize that I would be making another mistake if I don't even mention Comrade Floyd Mashele, you know, who played a major role. You know, when he passed on, he was in the NEC, or he was the vice president of Potwa at that time. But again, he was in the provincial committee of the ANC. When he passed on, they had to get 3 people to replace him within the ANC. The way he was industrious. You ask anyone in Telecom, you ask anyone in the post office about the 1987 strike, the postal strike, Floyd's name would always be at the top. And that was the strike again that made us to realize that it was important to be united. Because when others were on strike, others would be working. And then automatically, that made the strike not to be as forceful. At a certain time, Mevika would know, Mahenezo would know, that a whole workforce in the Eastern Cape was fired. We had to go through the very same process that we went through, Comrade Zuma, of the 587. To make sure that now, you know, we bring back those workers. And you can imagine that now, when we had to go and make a report back to those workers, you know, it's a whole workforce. They are full there at Dunkirk Stadium, and we've got to tell them that now they are fired. And they ask you, firstly, that now, Comrade Siaguva, but are you fired? And you say, but comrades, I'm not fired. One thing that I've learned in life is to be truthful. Because if you are not truthful, your lies will catch up with you. It can take so much time, but your lies do catch up with you. And if you are a leader, always make sure that you tell the truth. Don't claim easy victories. Then from that generation of the Floyds, of the Musumkutus, of the Johnny Riches, came the other generation that said that now, we are going to make sure that now this measure does take place. We have heard from you. We realize that now it's important. Telkom is about to privatize. The post office is doing its own thing there. We really need this measure. And I know that now, Hlaudi was still there in the Free State. At a certain time, he was in the structures. But they made sure that now, you know, that was the generation of the late Vochibilika, Comrade Lefty Munyokolo, Comrade Shuaib, the comrades Peterson's there, Comrade Kathy Pillay, Comrade Jane Naidu, but not the Jane Naidu that you know, but the other Jane Naidu. It was a committee of 6 that we asked as NECs of different unions to say that now, with these 6 members of this committee, make sure that come rain, sunshine, or whatever, that measure should take place. And indeed, in 18 months, they made sure that now, that measure did take place and CWU was born. Amanda! Thank you.
Amanda. Yeah, these are co-founders of Communication Workers Union. And the difficulty that we have, you can't call an order on your elders. You just remain quiet there, sit down. But what we appreciate is that in that short space of time, Comrade Khalifan was able to give us a large background. And we appreciate, let's give him once more time a round of applause. We are getting closer and closer to the actual celebration, but we need to talk about these things. Now, the past has spoken. The present and the future must come and speak. And normally when I stand here as the person that is given these little powers, it means that the speaker must stop because we don't want long speeches. Those who are coming now, I know that. That's why I'm giving upfront warning. The July can start tomorrow. They will still be here on the platform. But now we are calling the president. When we had many unions in our sector and we had one meetings with other unions, we realized that we were now going to say president, president, president. It was not workable. Then we said President General. So President General Comrade Clyde Marvin kindly rise to the occasion and give us a speech. Amandla. It's not normal. President wouldn't rise based on a round of applause. This is a revolutionary trade union movement. We forget these bow ties. Lelilizwe labokhokho bethu. Lelilizwe labantu abamnyama. Lelilizwe lokhokho bethu. Lelilizwe labantu abamnyama. Hey! Lelilizwe Tambo. Lelilizwe labantu abamnyama. Lelilizwe Tambo. Lelilizwe labantu abamnyama. Lelilizwe lokhokho bethu. Lelilizwe labampisholo. Lelilizwe lengane zethu. Lelilizwe labampisholo. Hey! Lelilizwe Tambo. Lelilizwe labantu abamnyama. Amandla. Over to you, President.
Viva CW, viva. Viva CW, viva. Long live CW, long live. Viva SACP, viva. Viva ANC, ANC, viva. Viva COSATU, 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 viva. Amandla. Away two. Now, comrades, thank you very much. Greetings to everybody, in particular the national office bearers, chairpersons and secretaries of provinces, also business people which have made this occasion possible, the president of COSATU and the delegation of COSATU. You are welcome to this important event of Communication Workers Union celebrating 20 years. We also want to thank the SABC through the Chief Operating Officer and the Minister, in particular in her absence, for making this occasion possible for a live broadcast. So we say thank you to yourselves. It's important and appreciate it. We must say thank you to all the different companies. I'm not going to mention by name because if I forget one, I'll be told, but you have not mentioned us. So I want to avoid that and say thank you to all of those who have made it possible this evening. It becomes important that we share and celebrate this 20 years. Now, we must say to the former leaders, you have brought us here where we are today, but we are going to take it a step further. A step further, we've learned from yourselves, you have taught us well, but we have learned new tricks in the process. Now, we want to raise the following so that and I'm worried that the General Secretary says when he's 10 here, it's time up. He knows that when I take the podium, you must not stand here. Otherwise, it's defiance and will be disciplined. But again, we are here celebrating 20 years of defending, advancing the working class struggle in the information, communication, and technology industry, which is the ICT sector. 3 decades ago, the 3 unions which eventually merged and become CWU, organized mainly amongst postal and telecom communication workers. Today, the union has members in many sectors of the communication industry. The trade union was launched on the 9th of May, 1996 in Johannesburg. It has taken more than a decade to bring about the merger of Potwa, Piasa, and Saptia. So one can imagine the duplication that greeted the formation of the union. Our historical background is important that we give a historical background. When white mine workers finally revolted on the rand in 1922 as a consequence of more than 10 years of escalating labor unrest, the Prime Minister, Jan Smuts, brought out the armed forces and used planes, tanks, machine guns to break the strike. Approximately 250 strikers died, 4 were executed, about 5,000 arrested. Ironically, these workers challenged the state under the infamous banner, "Workers of the World, Fight and Unite for a better South Africa." Subsequently, labor legislation was passed, which excluded past-bearing African workers, thereby protecting the interests of white workers, entrenching organizations of workers along racial lines. This did not stop African workers from organizing themselves, but when the African National Congress and other organizations were banned in 1961, independent unions formed by African workers went into decline as many of their leaders and members were arrested or went into exile. It was the impulsive eruption of strikes in Durban in 1973 which reunited the spirit of defiance workers, which eventually led to the formation of COSATU on November 30th, 1985. Present in the historic event were 760 delegates representing 33 unions. Portwa became an affiliated to COSATU, guided by federation principles of one union, one industry. Let me repeat, one union, one industry. Invited all staff associations in the department, all staff associations in the Department of Post and Telecoms to engage in unity talks. The white staff associations who existed to protect and advance the interests of white workers firmly rejected the call, but the colored and Indian staff associations heeded that call. I think you heard what Comrade Tlalefang raised. He mentioned those issues. I'm just recapping the history of this organization. The White Staff Association was racist as the Department of Post and Telecoms was one of the vehicles that Vervoer government used to solve the poor white problem. These unskilled Afrikaners who came from the farms were loyal to the apartheid system and hated radicalism portrayed by the telecom and telecommunication workers, more especially the workers aligned to Portwa. In 1987, the Department of Postal and Telecom Communication would face a massive strike by predominantly Portwa members, and this raised the consciousness of the workers even more. To unite, the Communication Workers Union became a mammoth, and sometimes the merger talks occurred in talks like Zambia, facilitated from South African Congress of Trade Union, SABC. There were many setbacks and serious challenges, but the workers persisted, and finally their hard work produced results when the union was finally launched. Struggle of the Communication Workers Union. The history of Communication Workers Union is also the history of struggle waged by Communication Workers Union as an organized force as part of COSATU. After the 1976 student uprising, South Africa would never be the same again, and coupled with the Durban strike in 1973, paved the way for a revolutionary period, which included the formation of COSATU, strikes, coastlows, wildcat strikes, also by Communication Workers Union. That would lead to the unbanning of the ANC, South African Communist Party, and South African Congress of Trade Unions, SACTU, and other organizations in February 1990. In 1987, after countless skirmishes with the racist departments of Postal and Telecoms, 60,000 postal and telecom communication workers went on a full-blown strike. The strike lasted for 2 months, with an agreement on the 7th of September 1987. By the 25th of September 1987, Portwa again threatened to a strike as the racist PNT violated all aspects of the agreement. Over 3,000 semi-skilled and unskilled workers were dismissed, having refused the opportunity to be re-employed, whilst technicians and other skilled workers being allowed to resume work without having applied for re-employment. Of the 1,500 workers who went on strike in the Eastern Cape, only 200 were re-employed. Reminds us of the 588 re-employed. There's a history of re-employment in the organization. President, there's this history of workers being dismissed and re-employed. Many lessons. Police police arrested workers, leaders, and amongst all shop stewards were transferred to other depots against their will in violation of the agreement. Many lessons were drawn from the strike, but it also pointed out how the state, through the PNT, were prepared to deal with militants of the trade union movement, even going so far as murder worker leaders. Workers who were to become members of Communication Workers Union were also active in the underground cells of the ANC and as SABC played an influential role in the organizing of communication workers in South Africa. In all provinces, Porto was active in all structures, and the struggle of COSA to mobilize communication workers against racist apartheid state and in defense and advance of the working struggle. Historically, members of the Communication Workers Union were only drawn from the Department of Post and Telecommunications. South Africa's post and telecommunications structure changed in 1991 when post and telecommunications were separated from each other. Prior to this, the apartheid government wanted to privatize, but workers put up an enormous fight against privatization. Hence the commercialization of two entities. I've warned you, I speak long. I don't speak very short. They will know me in the NEC of the union. I speak for some time, so you'll pardon me. I'm not boring you, but you'll pardon me. History is very important. South African telecom sector, including telecom, also entered into an era of liberalization and deregulation. As gear became the preferred economic policy of South Africa, of South African government in '96, it signaled that the cross-subsidizing of two entities would soon stop and have a disadvantage effect on the South African Post Office. But also that telecom workers would suffer due to liberalization and deregulation. The workers of the post office have been on strike for months, then a decade, because of the way management runs the company. You'll pardon me, South African Post Office, you have set a very wrong example in this time of need. From salaries to restructuring, from mismanagement to refusal to permanent employ workers, and even the refusal of SAPO to bargain with the majority union, Communication Workers Union, has been the main drivers of labor unrest in the company. The press has always spinned the discourse that become of labor unrest. The SAPO has become dysfunctional. This could not be further from the truth. The postal workers of the post office went on an 11-week strike in 2014. This strike was an indication of many years of mismanagement, fraud, and corruption. Since early 2000, workers in the SAPO has gone on strike to highlight this mismanagement from the union, has consistently provided evidence of mismanagement of the company, including the phenomenon of workers being casuals up to 15 years. A formal complaint eventually brought to the office of the public protector in 2011 by the Communication Workers Union. The CWU accused the company of misappropriating 2.1 billion. It has also came to light that a special investigation probe was investigating unlawful appropriation of expenditure of the public money. On Tuesday, the 23rd February 2016, the public protector, Thuli Madonsela, released findings of the complaint laid by the Communication Workers Union, and the union was indeed vindicated. Indeed, the union was vindicated. In May 2016, the South African Post Office was grilled by the Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Telecom and Postal Services. The Auditor General report into financial performance at the Post Office showed regression in key areas related to management, financial controls, taxation, and goal attainment. The Auditor General demonstrated the lack of adequate financial controls contributed to the irregular expenditure of 578 million rand as fruitless, wasteful expenditure of 95 million. Furthermore, the Post Office reported a loss of 1.5 billion rand in the 2015 financial year. And a provisional loss of 1 billion is the current year. In relation to company's performance, indicators that the post office scored a 14%. Data from the results presentation further showed that the South African Post Office posted losses of 222 million in 2013 and 407 million in 2014. The company has a nerve to say that the legitimate strikes by workers were the huge reason to demise of the post office. We all know that workers are not responsible for drafting, implementing of policies. Neither can the facts raised by the public protector and auditor general be blamed on workers. It is clear to everyone that management and the employees are solely responsible for the demise of the post office, in particular post office and telecom as well. It is also abundantly clear that together with corruption, mismanagement, the withdrawal of government subsidy for post office to fulfill the universal service obligation, especially in the rural areas, has contributed to its financial woes. The government subsidy was the largest contributor to post office profits between 2006 and 2010, when it was totaled to 306 million, with an additional 249 million carried over from the previous year. In 2012, the subsidy was reduced to 180 million and then to 520 million after, in which it became to an end in 2013. It must be emphasized that the SAPO is currently under investigation by the Special Investigation Unit over allegations of mismanagement of funds and irregular tender contracts. You all know the Special Investigation Unit, the public protector, have declared that the building, which is the Eco Park building, has been done through illegal means. That is what the public protector has said, and also the Special Investigation Unit. I think you have all known that the post office have upfront paid rental, which they have not occupied the building. That made it even worse in terms of the findings. So CW once again was vindicated. Therefore, it is clear that where the failings of the company originate from and not from the workers at all. The union has been waging a 16-year battle to save jobs in telecom. As gear took a toll on the working class and the government, spurning of COSATU call for it to recall this economic policy, thousands of workers in telecom began to lose jobs. In 1994, telecom had 67,000 workers. Currently, there are only 12,500 workers left in telecom. Let me repeat, from 67,000, we now have only 12,500 workers. Through the years, in 1994, telecom, the actual target of telecom is to have only 6,000 workers in the workforce. It means that there's still 6,000 workers which must be placed somewhere or outsourced. So those are the challenges we faced in this ICT sector. Through the years, telecom has proven to be a union basher who rides the roughshod over the workers of the union. With the evidence of the BEE major upheaval battles, as many deployees took shares in telecom, financed by state money. A case in point is the Elephant Group. Even though these so-called progressive were continuously deployed by government, the workers of telecom were continuously massacred as part of the bloodbath job losses that rocked the country, following the implementation of GEAR. The irony is that South African government remains the major shareholder in telecom and wholly owns the South African Post Office. The union has marched onto Litulia House by offering the union marched to Litulia House. We were called counter-revolutionaries, ill-disciplined, but eventually we said, we are revolutionary. It's about the protection of workers, and we'll go all out to protect the works of the working class. You can be our friend today, but if you come and deal with workers, you become our enemy. Simple as that. We can wine and dine with you, but if you go and deal with workers, you will find Communication Workers Union in front of your doorstep. The irony of the South African government, I've said that, let me not repeat. In 2014 May, Telkom issued notices that it would embark on job reduction program by offering voluntary packages, which is accompanied by a threat of retrenchments should workers not buy into the packages. On the 2nd of July 2007, workers at Vodacom went on a strike to have CWU as the collective bargaining agent and representative of the workers. The company refused the workers to even be representatives in the disciplinary inquiry. Those who were allowed to represent workers had to do it on their own. When it came to performance goals, workers were represented by those other workers penalized with the effect of bonuses which came to an end. By the 6th of July, in the eagerness to intimidate workers into abandoning a legal strike, the company imposed a lockout the day before they even obtained an interdict from the courts. Another bad employer, Vodacom. On the 20th of May 2015, the CWU pledged that it would fight to gain full recognition in Vodacom, MTN, and CLC. These companies has been in the forefront, setting the pace of union bashing in the entire industry. The company in this sector takes the lead from the cellular companies, and wherever we organize, we find the same mindset. President Muthambi, when I was driving to the venue of the gala event, I got a call from workers of MTN to be told that 63 workers have been told they no longer have jobs. While I was driving, I was told by the Deputy President of Communication Workers Union, open your email. Telkom has now issued letters of retrenchments to workers, telling them that they've consulted enough. By the 30th of July, these workers will be out of the system. That's how brutal you are as the employers. But we have made a commitment, Comrade GS, that these two issues we are going to fight. From next week, you'll hear us in the public space condemning this. We also, as I arrived yesterday in the NEC, which came to light was the crisis in the SABC, which is termed to be. And everybody was asking, where is Communication Workers Union on the issue of SABC? We see all outsiders responding to the SABC. We said, we are responding, Comrade GS. On Monday, we are releasing a press statement based on the NEC mandate on SABC. But in that press statement, we are calling for an urgent meeting. So we've got the privilege that the Office of the Minister is here, the COO is here. We are asking for a very urgent meeting so that we can deal with what is deemed to be a crisis in the SABC. Nobody must speak on our behalf. We know what is happening in the SABC. We understand the issue of the SABC. We are informed about issues of the SABC. So we are warning those who are speaking on our behalf to sit down. We will respond. And the role of the union, I think we must clarify, is to defend workers. Workers which are exploited, we must defend them and defend them until we get blue on our faces, but we will defend. We have made a commitment, President. ANN7, we are gunning for them. We are gunning for them. They are intimidating our members. They are not paying them a proper salary. We are gunning for them. ENCA, we are coming. We are coming because we have seen that we have become very racist to our members. We are exploiting our workers. The conditions they work under is very severe. A story was shared with us how a worker should start 6 o'clock in the morning, having to leave its place 4 o'clock in the morning, and the employer doesn't care. All what he wants is productivity, does not care about the safety of our employees. So we are saying to these three companies, we are coming to you. Therefore, It is therefore a concerted effort to keep building, to keep check in CWU. The bottom line for these companies is to keep CWU out of the sector and workers in bondage, thus denying workers their constitutional right. These companies make huge profits on the backs of the South African workers, but yet allowed to operate as they please in the country where they organize, played an immense role in bringing in the democratic government. I'm going to close now, GS. I see where you're standing. In closing, CWU will continue to fight to retain and create jobs in telecom. The recall of the Group CEO of Telecom, Sipho Maseko, remains important objective of the union. The union will fight for salary increases for telecom workers after the company offered a 0% increase for the current financial year. We are awaiting the date for the CCMA, which was today. If processes fail to lead to an agreement, the telecom workers are ready to take on the union bashing company in a full-blown strike. We are ready. So we are preparing for telecom. The nice thing, Comrade President COSATU, where we go, we leave a mark. We've transformed the post office by them bringing a new board, a new CEO. It's because of what we've done. We have continued to attack the post office on its corruption. We have achieved results. In MTN, it's just what we have done. The union struggled for many years to get recognition. Today we can tell you we have full recognition rights in MTN. As we speak, Comrade President, in ANN7, 2 days ago, they've just given us a draft recognition agreement. So in our history today, very soon we'll be having a recognition in AN7. As we speak to you, in ENCA, today as I speak to you, we're at CCMA, we're verifying membership. Very soon we'll be having a recognition in ENCA. So we're infiltrating the industry bit by bit. I always say to the NEC and to the National Office Bearers, Communication Workers Union is an elephant. We bite you bit by bit so that you fall. An elephant can't fall if you kill him once. Rest assured, you must bite piece by piece, and that's exactly what we are doing. So all these companies will soon have a proper recognition agreement. President will then apply for a bargaining council, so that we negotiate in a bargaining council. So when we fight the employer, we fight you at once, massively, strongly. That's the new CWU. In closing, GS, we must still maintain our friendship after this. So in closing, the union will continue to fight for its demands in the post office. In actual fact, the post office has been a brutal employer for many years. It has casuals for 20 years, 25 years. When the employed workers, in actual fact, we must raise this, Comrade President. When one union went on strike, I will not mention them by name today, but when one union went on strike, the Minister of Postal and Telecom Communication made one of the biggest mistakes in his life by telling the post office to appoint 600 casual workers into full-time positions by booty, friendo, girlfriend and boyfriend syndrome. That's how corrupt the minister was with the post office at the time. And we can't leave it unattended and pretend that there's nothing wrong. Hence today you have this influx of lot of problems. Then the worst part came again. The post office then employed 900 workers, again full-time, on a corruption basis. Booty, chomi, friendo. That's what we are faced with. It can't be correct, and this must be, obviously as a union, we are busy dealing with it. We can't allow it to happen. Our apologies for the post office, we understand. But it's important that we must raise. For 2 years, workers have not received a salary increase. Workers have been complaining, toing. We can now safely say we're about to seal some deal with the South African Post Office. They've agreed to employ casuals into, it's not yet full-time, President, it's permanent, part-time, so it means that they're half-day workers, but they are full-time. At least it's one battle we've won. It's not fully won. We must still go and make sure that they all become permanent in the process. There's one battle we've been fighting for years, and at least we must say that we have now gained some ground. To all of them will be converted into full-time positions, but half-day. Amongst our proposals are the national, provincial, and local government posture. The question why all spheres of government should be using the post office. It's important that we have requested government that all services must be used. They must use the post office. So that the post office does not need a bailout. In actual fact, is government can be able to give all business to the post office. We will not ask for a bailout or financial control. There's a 20 billion contract the post office have with private on parcels. If that business can go to the post office, we will not need to talk about, we can now talk about how do we sustain more the post office with all government services. I think that's a matter we have taken forward with government. We also reject the call of a state bank because the state already owns a bank, the South African Post Bank. We will continue to fight for a living wage for the workers to be permanently employed. We will not falter because as workers, we know where there are many forces out there to ensure that SAPO fails so in order that it can be privatized. We are aware that there was a group of people, President, a consortium of 3 municipality managers who wanted to buy the post office. If they fail in local government, they want to buy the post office. How do you really mix those two issues? So we said, no. We are aware this agenda must stop. The CWU will continue to provide excellent service in the 20 years to all workers in its ranks. As a growing union, we aim to organize vigorously in the industry until we have reached all workers and organize them into progressive and a fighting trade union, the Communication Workers Union. We shall remain resolute, militant, and very vigilant to all these companies. Our eyes are on the ground. We are growing. We are going to grow the union because we believe that the ICT sector has the growth which we want. We remain committed in building COSATU as well in the next 20 years. And through this building hope, the more and more we would accumulate the building of solidarity amongst affiliates in COSATU. A strong COSATU will ensure the battles of the workers against capital for workers' rights become more and more focused and successful. We all know where we stood a year ago. We must set the record straight where we are because we are still being confused by people. We joined forces at a point to strengthen COSATU. We then said, no, the 9 objective was good to strengthen COSATU. But when it took its own U-turn, CWU stood firm and said, we remain COSATU, we remain focused, we'll fight within COSATU, and that's exactly what we are doing. I was once called by the former president, Hlaudi, when he heard the news that CWU somewhere, he says, President, I want to have a meeting with you. We had a meeting, President, we must not be scared. We had a meeting somewhere where he said, President, you can't leave COSATU. You can't leave the ANC. History will judge you. I said, when the elders call, you must just step in there and respect it. And when we made a statement, President, on us being fighting in COSATU, he called me and said, no, at least my talk, you listen to the elder people. So in closing, we are saying as Communication Workers Union, an injury to one must remain an injury to all. we are CWU. We've listened to the past. We are in the future. We are busy with the future. leaders come and they go. Ne? One day I'll sit there and people will say, the former president, Comrade Clyde Murphy. It's obvious. We must allow, and I always say this, we must allow to serve our members. We must allow to go back to basics. This is what we've resolved in our NEC. We have agreed, but President, we must say this to the former president. We are in touch with our members. The national office bearers are on the ground with its members because we have realized that, and I think COSATU, back to basic document, is very clear that the first thing you do, you go to members, you start listening to members because that is where you derive a mandate from. I don't want to lead a union. When I call a strike and I look at the back, I find there's nobody. I want to lead a union when we are at the back, we see people in the front. Because we want to start from the back so that we can see what's happening. Now, let us enjoy ourselves. I know my time has been, but I'm the president. I have to speak long. I really want you to enjoy your evening so that we are going to interact with all of you so that we can speak about some of you being brutal to our members. How do we soften it here? They normally call it soft landing, President. We hope there's going to be a soft landing tonight so that we can rescue some of the issues in our sector. Thank you very much and enjoy your evening.
Zabalaza, happy 20. Amandla. The president was here. He have delivered his message. He has swag. Spoke nice. Handsome in a suit. And he gave us a class perspective. So it did not give me an opportunity to call him out of order. But he cost himself because he must come back here. I don't know why he left. When I stood up here, I wanted him to continue. So he thought, I said he must sit down. So come back, President. I need you here. Seguyo, segubenini. Awe, awe, sizabalaza. Seguyo, segubenini. Sizabalaza. Happy 20. Seguyo, segubenini. Sizabalaza. Happy 20. Amandla. Just a small thing. We know we have employers here. We have a lot of money. We are sitting here in front of me. So strategically, we wanted you to be here. Not because we like you, no. We want what you have. We are a working class, most. Through our sweat and toils, we are the one who are selling our labor to you. So, before we do that, the first deputy president of CWU, the second deputy president of CWU, the deputy general secretary of CWU, the national treasurer of CWU, we are kindly requesting you to join us.
Motsoeneng
smallanyana something. No, smallanyana in a good way. Not that smallanyana. We have a smallanyana something, and we'll want to call the leadership of the federation that is here to present something to them as part of our celebration. Can the president of the federation, Comrade Muthambi, my force there, Comrade Jojo, Comrade Freda, the treasurer, please come join us as well. Thank you, DJ. It's a very romantic song. And the gender here is not balanced. We must be able to address that question. Comrade, the national office bearers led by the President of Communication Workers Union would like to present something. We realize that we are not celebrities, but somewhere we can write an autograph. So we therefore decided that we have this T-shirt of a 20-year celebration, framed it, and wanted to hand it over to the federation so that they can put it there in their offices as a reminder that the Communication Workers Union remains an affiliate of COSATU. Mandla.
President, we are officially handing you this T-shirt, and by virtue of choosing double X means that in the next term of office, I should not be removed because this T-shirt will resemble me. So, Comrade President, from Communication Workers Union, we want to deliver this to COSATU. I think history will never judge us. Where this union comes from, it comes from the history, and we are representing you. History. We are the future makers of communication workers. We want to send a new trend, a vibrant organization, a vibrant federation. Thank you very much, Comrade President. Maybe something to say something.
Thank you very much, Comrade President. You know what you have done, it's very emotional. And I'm sure you all can understand why I say so. We coming from a very, very tumultuous period as the Federation. We love all our affiliates, all of them. And we want them all together, united, working together, building this giant federation, COSATU, even to be a more stronger instrument to defend the workers in South Africa. So what we have done, President, is highly appreciated in the history of our labor movement, COSATU, and therefore we accept this gift to the workers of South Africa, and indeed we congratulate the Communication Workers Union in this 20th anniversary, and we wish you to grow and grow. Indeed, we have always known there is Communication Workers Union in this sector, which has a potential of growth in this country. We are standing with you. Thank you, Mongameli. Thank you very much.
wangusatha hey awusamthathu zuma madoda wasambeke phito sathi mfuka msholo uzusiphathe ngoqo Mandla. No, thank you very much. Now that we have given, you saw how wonderful, beautiful that frame with the T-shirt inside is, and with very important signatures. There's also a treasurer there, in finances, general secretary, president, everyone is there on that one. Now, there's two remaining. And there's many companies here. We know that you want them. We want to give it to you so that you can do as well what COSATU will do. But because there's many of you, we request that at least you donate something to get this T-shirt. And we'll start very cheap at 10,000 rand. I know Centec was the first company to raise and followed by Post Office, so we'll have to up the price. So it's 12,000 rand as we speak. So there's two of them. So SABC was telling me to say, Mchana, I want all of them to bid first. I'll match. So we have Gunene Makop, we have Centec. And let us be clear, those who did not come today, let's mention them. MTN, sponsored, nice. Did not come after I've done a boo-boo, because it knows you can't buy us. We are going to tell you in your face. So it ran away. But we are going to go there. Vodacom did not come. ANN7, ETV, they did not come. We are coming. If the mountain will not come to Mahomet, Mahomet will go to the mountain. It reminds me of a story that is used to be shared. No, comrade, I'm expecting hands. DOC, please. Hands, I'm not going to talk. I want to see who's going to buy. Post Office, come on, please. Muso consultant there, we can see you. Raise your hands, comrades. Are you raising? Thank you very much. 12,000, 20. Kunene Makopa, is that 20? Is that 20? Comrade, don't be shy. Centec? SABC? Kunene Makopo, ups, 21. So we are at 21,000 rand now for this very beautiful. SABC is still waiting. It said it wants all of you. All of you. It will come. So don't rush Comrade Hlaudi. They don't rush him. So for one, we are still at 21. It means that one will start at 22. So it's better for you to buy it now before the damage happens. So, you know, there's a story shared by Comrade Beginchalinchal, the General Secretary of COSATU, when the President was narrating on all the battles that we went through. You know, all the time when the unions come back from negotiations, we are always criticized. All the time, no matter how good the agreement is, you'll be criticized for one thing or the other. So Comrade Peggy used to tell us about this man. We'll say every time when they come back from negotiations, all the time. They come back and give a report, Then one day they elected him to be a shop steward. He was now part of the collective. He sat at the meeting, said nothing. The meeting went, and it was over. When they came out of the meeting to caucus, they've asked him, why didn't you make an input? He said, hey, gape makgowa manna, a tella kudu, 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 kudu. So, we are at 21. Muso, you can't be beaten by Gunene. Yeah. Oh, you're waiting for the second one. It's good. Okay. Comrade, no, you don't have a choice. You go for how much? 23,000. This is no longer a small anyana. It's a 23,000 worth piece. I can be a good marketer. So, comrades, there is 23, there is 21. There's many companies here in the front. And the companies are saying, Comrade President Zuma, no, we bought tables. And thank you very much for buying the DOC. Thank you very much. Post office, Kuba. You bought it. But I'm sure you are paying for food. It can't be said now that you bought liquor and food, therefore nothing else beyond that. Let's beef it up, comrade. 21, 23. Who can better it off? Hlaudi is waiting. He can take a decision, I know. Without the board. And once he takes a decision, you'll want to blame him that public funds were misused. Nah. He's waiting, comrade. Let's hear another one. Muso is still quiet. 20. Tiko. We are now at 46,000 rand. We are now at 46,000 rand. Abanye abantu abayazi. Abanye abantu abayazi. Abanye abantu bayayizonda, abayithandi, abayifuni. Abanye abantu abayithandi. Abanye abantu abayifuni. Abanye abantu bayayizonda, abayifuni. Aswafuna mabutshwa, aswafuna makepita. Thina siphusha le socialism, socialism. Aswafuna mabutshwa, aswafuna makepita. Thina siphusha le socialism, socialism. Yosi, Amandla. I know others are still consulting their treasures. I'm told here the minister has been called. On the other side, from your side on the left, because it's correct to be on the left, Kopano Kimatle has been called. So treasure went outside. Did you see Comrade Freda went outside to call Kopano Kemat? Se har kopaning ban nar kopani. Rakase hlule ke makepital. So it's a good thing. We are standing now at 46,000 rand. But we are not going to ignore other offers, President. 21,000 rand and 23. Asiziyek maqaba. Sizawumane sipatanisa senze esinye iskip. Now we won't stop. There will be no one left unattended. So we have three, we have two. The one with the lower bidder will wait for us for next week. We'll make another t-shirt. It's important. We are not going to leave that money. Former president, I call. At your home there, you must have something like this one. But we can sympathize with you because you are coming from the working class. We'll start you there at 3,000. So the president is buying 3,000. Thank you very much. Asikhwabeleni izandla. I heard the president of COSATU saying, no, man, I understand this one is going to my office, but I want my personal one. 3,000 for you, Comrade President Stool. Thank you very much. Yeah, because it doesn't earn much. He's coming from the working class. He's a worker. So 3,000, 2 installments. It does work. So we have 2 presidents, 3,000, so that's 6,000. We have 21,000 here. We have 23,000 there. We have 46. So the next speaker that will come here will tell us at the end of his speech how much. Very important. So, one thing that we must salute and praise, comrades, is the fact that there are some leaders who take brave stance in their society. In presence of white monopoly capital, they remain firm. You know, when we heard about 90% local content on TV and radio, we clap hands, but behind the closed doors, there were those white monopoly capital who are saying, we are going to pull out our adverts on SABC. So it was about us organizing workers and the working class and say, you keep on listening to SABC, even more this time around, so that if they pull out, it's their loss, not ours, because the audience must remain in the public broadcaster. Now that we have more audience, that's why the public broadcaster will be saying, I up the game at the end of my speech. Let's welcome now the Chief Operations Officer of the South African Broadcasting Corporation, Mr. Hlaudi Motsoeneng. I'm not so sure I should say that because when you call me, the first thing he says, Mchana. Mchana, come over. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and good evening. President Situmo, Kasesotho no Stumo, Gestumo, well-known person in Sesotho and the leadership of COSATU, and the president of CWU, and the secretary of CWU, and all leaders of CWU. You know, when I enter here, I was so happy because we were playing 90% wire. But because the former president did allude to the issue about history, it is important for me to talk about the history of the SABC, especially during my time when I was the acting COO in 2011. When I arrived at the SABC, they were in a process of retrenching 800 people within the organization. Because I'm a worker, I said to the former chairperson of the board, you can't retrench workers. We need to put a strategy in place. We did put that strategy. We saved 800 workers at the SABC. When other people are talking about retrenching now, SABC were not there. We are not even dreaming about retrenching workers at the SABC. And the union knows, especially the leadership, that at the SABC you have more than 400 workers. They don't have anything to do at the SABC. And when management and the board realized that some people, they don't have a job to do, management, they were talking about, why can't we retrench people? I said, no. What we need to do is to get job for them inside SABC. When we introduce this channel called 404 channel, which it is an SABC channel, part of the reason we were making sure that we save the workers of the SABC, we also employ and recruit new staff, which we did and achieved within the organization. You know, South Africans, we talk about creating jobs. I know President Stumo, some people are talking about merger between us and MultiChoice. How can it be merger when we have a contract with them? It's a contract. We are busy negotiating, renewing the contract. Because if it is a merger, it is a merger. It's a marriage. This is not a marriage between us and MultiChoice. Clever people, they have been talking about the archives. We as SABC, we have given away National Archives. What is National Archives? Because if it is National Archives, everyone should have access to National Archives. Previously, SABC has been there in MultiChoice, SABC 1, 2, and 3. And they were not contributing even a cent. We as SABC, we said to them, it is wrong because you are benefiting from SABC. You need to contribute and fund the SABC. They are contributing more than 900 million for the SABC. And the bulk of that money, we pay our workers within the organization. So are you saying we should move away so that we make sure that you have more people who are not working? We as SABC, we are saying, no, we can't. Yesterday, you know, clever people, they were trying to mobilize the SABC staff to go on strike. Clever people. So people who are not clever, we had to find a strategy. And we knew what they were doing. We have been observing them, monitoring them. Because we at the SABC, I think you are aware that we released a statement to say we as SABC, we are not going to use labor brokers within the organization. Yesterday, I met one of the agents here at the SABC. I said, you see, you are causing us problems. Because you and your workers, there is unhappiness. We need to assist you. Can we divorce today? And you know, divorce is divorce. There are some negotiations. And I can tell you, we agree with the agency to say to them, we are divorcing you. They said, we agree. We can't be here because if we are not happy, we can't stay in this marriage. And what we did, we absorbed those labor brokers. And clever people, when they were picketing outside SABC, they said, hey, that Hlaudi has locked the workers. They could not join us. When the workers, they were singing, happy, happy, in the organization. We are happy. And those workers, they were not SABC employees. They were the agency employees. We have a very good relationship between CWU and the SABC because some of us, we are workers. You know, the president, because he's the president, I don't understand from the union. SABC, it is a good employer. No doubt about it. And some of you here, President, I'm not going to mention them by names. They were saying to me, you know, Mr. Motsoeneng, if you can come and join our company, you are welcome. But I'm not going to mention their names. You know, when you talk about the SABC, we have taken a decision. You can't negotiate transformation within the organization after 20 years. Because we have been negotiating. You can't negotiate forever. We have been playing with English at the SABC. And I like English because you can play with English. One day, I wake up because I was tired about this English. I called OPS. It's a broadcasting committee within the organization. And I chaired that committee. The agenda was one, local content. I didn't caucus with them, I didn't do anything. Because I knew that they are going to give me all the reasons why they can't implement. And I said to the team, the agenda is one, colleagues. Today, we are implementing 90% local content. Some of the colleagues tried to give me reasons why we can't implement it. They need more time. I said, thank you very much. The meeting is urgent. Implement. I switched my phone off because I was receiving so many calls. I ran away from the calls. I called Leslie Ntloko, who is in charge of radio. I said, Leslie, I'm not going to sleep today. I'm going to monitor whether we are implementing 90%. They did implement 90% without any problems. The former president was saying, leadership is about telling the truth. I want to go further. Leadership is about being decisive. And when we took this decision of 90% or local content, we knew some people are going to fight. And you have seen them. Because people who are fighting now, some of them, they have been working with international companies. Because we as SABC, we have been paying people from outside, not paying our own artists in South Africa. And this is huge, because we are talking about employment. We are talking about royalties. And all South Africans who are normal, they are happy. The truth is, people who are complaining, they are in minority. But what they do, they occupy the media space. But they are in minority. Today, how many people march to the SABC? Less than 100. When they have been promoting this from last week, putting promos, interviewing everybody about SABC. It is winter. 6 people are coughing at the SABC. But they can't infect their flu to others. Because the employees of the SABC, they know where they come from. They know what we have done for them, which we are still doing. I know the SG, you know, when we negotiate salary, annual salary increment, he said, Mchana, please, don't talk to staff, please. Because my strategy is, which is a good strategy, I asked the shop steward at the SABC, we disagree about this 8% or 7%. Let's go and talk to the workers. What they know is the workers will listen to Hlaudi. They know at the SABC, the SG knows. This time, I did not talk to the workers because he said, I'm Chana. It's wrong, please talk to us first. Don't go to the workers. I did him, Chana. Same day, we agree. You will see that people are fighting SABC, and even print media now, they are saying we are in trouble financially. Let me tell you, Santec is here, the COO. I pay you and your staff more than 600 billion per annum. Without SABC, there is no Santec. They will retrench people. And we pay them on time so that they can pay their own employees. And history will tell you, in 2009, SABC could not pay employees, fed in check. SABC could not pay service providers. They could not pay content producers on time. Some of them, they closed the shop. But since we have been there, some of us, we are not clever people, but we have been able to run that organization properly. And credit is not Hlaudi, because I work with the team. The team of the SABC has done well. You know, when I attend board meetings, including management, when I argue about the workers, they are saying I'm a shop steward. And I have been always saying, up there we can fight, look after the workers so that they can do their duty, because theirs is operation. If you touch operation, you touch the heart of the organization, and that organization will fail. We are appealing to you as CW to support SABC, because the fact of the matter is SABC represent South Africans. When you look at the history at the SABC, we are coming with 80% local content on SABC 3. The SG did allude to the issue of advertisers. You know, immediately when we introduced local content, they were having their own concerns about local content. We went to them, engaged them, but I can tell you today, they are investing in local content. These people who are marching, they are trying everything to talk to the investors, and they are saying, don't invest at the SABC. We and advertisers, we agree they should leave politics, because the advertisers, they are not interested in what people are saying. They are interested in audience. So if you talk about the audience, you talk about the SABC, because we command more than 30 million daily. So they don't have a choice. The choice is SABC. But there is this notion that African languages, advertisers, they don't invest in African languages. Example, you have Ukhozi, leading in Africa, 7 million audience. But they still invest in those English radio stations more than Ukhozi. We need to change those mindset. Because you know, these people who are business people, they believe that if you talk English, you have money. And actually, people who are listening to those African radio stations, they are driving the most expensive cars. They have more money. I'm happy that you are celebrating 20 years as a union. Don't take chance on me, because you see, even the former president, he knows my role. When I was in the Free State, for me, President, I think it is important that we as leaders in different organizations, we can't operate without unions. Because we are human beings. Sometimes we believe that we really represent staff, but we are not. You need a watchdog to monitor whether the environment is conducive at work. President, we are committing ourselves as SABC. We will work with this union. We will always fight, because the role of union, they fight for their workers. But when we fight, we need to be responsible. And in this case, I'm happy that CWU is responsible, because when we were negotiating with Aubrey, I said, Aubrey, if you want 10%, I can give you now. But can we sustain 10% for the coming 5 years? The answer is no. I said, Mchana, you want us to retrench? said, hey, Mchana, no, I can't. Thank you very much, Aubrey. And I spoke to the president also. He said, hey, Mchana, let's find a way. But man, hey, this 7% is too small, Mchana. I said, hey, President, I do hear where you are coming from. But we as SABC, we can't sustain that because we still have employees at the SABC. We still need to employ them, not redeploy them within the organization, which we are doing. Because some of people there, they don't even have job description within the organization because the top structure is bloated. And when the top structure is bloated, you know what senior managers do? Because they are saying you are a manager. To justify that you are a manager, you employ more staff. What we are doing within the organization, we have been making sure that we don't have more senior managers. Because you have more senior managers, but you don't have people at the operation, which doesn't make sense. So we are investing at the operation, where we know the employees are there in that organization. But I can tell you, even the unions, they know, SABC, we are doing well. If you check, when we pay people at the SABC, because I like to pay workers, because I'm a worker. When we pay them, President, we are under pressure. Even in Parliament, some members, they are asking us, why are you paying these members, these workers? But the fact of the matter, we are not getting funding from government. Here's the DG, is 3%. What is 3%? And people are saying, no, you, the taxpayers' money. It is not. Let me tell you, in 2011, SABC was around 4 billion company. You remember, Musa, I started in 2011? Now we are 8 billion company. And no austerity at the SABC. We are not saying that we have more money. We don't. But we are sustainable financially because we are able to pay and fund new content at the SABC and also fund my brother there, the COO of Santec. President, let me tell you, in my conclusion, I said to him, Mchana, you know, I think it is important that SABC, we bring back that part of signal distribution inside the SABC. He said, no, you can't do that, Mchana, because you're going to close the shop. I said, hey, man, because this man wants to work and keep his position. Let me allow him so that we fund him. But when it comes to payment, the President, SABC is paying more than any organization in media space. And how do we know? When these other people come and approach us, you ask their pay slip, you'll realize, hey, my daughter. People have been saying we are not paying well. Actually, we are paying better. I want to talk about the last point, where I know it is a song that Hlaudi has given him salary increment.
There is a sign for perfectionism.
Can give himself salary increment because there must be approval and process. Don't be misled by people. And I have been saying at the SABC, and I'm not even saying this, the board, they have been saying Hlaudi has been able to raise funding for SABC. I saw some of the documents where the CFO is saying, actually, if I can claim, I can get more than 97 million. That's what my comrade wage. No, it's not me. If I was working for a private company, because private company, when you generate revenue for the company, they pay you a commission. Because keep our employees within the organization. President, I was dismissed by the SABC in 2006 when I was at middle management. You know what was the reason? It was simple. I interviewed during the panel someone in Sesotho because the person was going to work for a Sesotho radio station. They said, you can't use Sesotho English. I said, I'm not an American. And I said, how do you test someone who's going to edit Sesotho in English? It can't be right. And at the SABC, we have taken a decision. If you interview people, they are going to be in charge for different languages. You interview them in their own languages. That is what we are doing at the SABC now. Black people, and black people is me and you. Why do we complain about transformation when we are in charge? Are you complaining about yourself? Because you know, I always hear people complaining about transformation and then I check. But I said, but you are in charge. Why are you complaining? Why are you not putting transformation in place? At the SABC, we don't negotiate transformation. We implement transformation. When you look at print media general, we as SABC, I said, we are a good employer. In other media, they don't even allow the unions. They don't even allow people to talk about their own companies. They were very angry when we decided that we are not going to advertise newspapers free on our platform. They should pay like other people who are paying for airtime. We removed Editors Forum because they were promoting their papers on our platform for free of charge. Because for us to talk on air, it's airtime. You as CWU, I have already paid you, Mchan, because we have taken all the airtime of the SABC. Mr. Tebele is there. He's in charge for news. He's looking and saying, hey, man, what is happening about man? Mchan, don't worry. We have contributed here because of airtime. Comrades, you know what we have done now at the SABC? I'm closing. People who are doing business with SABC, don't worry. Some some of people have been doing business with SABC for more than 20 years. One company within that organization. Everything is done in Auckland Park. But we have companies in provinces where we have all those offices, because I went to KwaZulu-Natal, I went to Limpopo. The ceiling was falling apart. When I asked, why are you not fixing the ceiling? They said, no, we are still waiting for Auckland Park. I said, why are you waiting for Auckland Park? Because the company is in Hlaudi. They are still busy with other projects. I said, you don't have contractors here. They said, there are many contractors. I said, from today, you use contractors in this province. I went to journalists and staff at the SABC, and everybody use computers. We use computers. One company is supplying SABC computers, but there are many companies in the provinces. And when they supply these computers, staff, they will get 10 computers, but they need 20 computers. Because if you give 10 computers, which means 10 people, they don't have the resources to use or the tools. We have dismantled our procurement. And we are saying people who are doing business with SABC, they should do business in those provinces where they are, not big companies in Johannesburg. That is what we have done at the SABC. And when we do that, you should understand some of people are not happy. But we are not apologetic, because we want to transform and empower people. When it comes to technology, most of the manufacturers, they are not here in South Africa. They are abroad. We have taken a resolution to say all those international companies where we pay more than 200 million, 600 million, they must contribute to fees must fall. It is a resolution, is done. Now is the implementation. Thank you very much.